From the shape and size of our hair follicles to how much natural oil our scalp produces, our hair biology changes as we head into our 40s. I know I spent far too much time getting frustrated following routines that just weren't designed for my stage of life. But after digging into the science of works of people like Dr. Louise Newson and experimenting with techniques, products and routines, I realised that at 43, I just need a different approach to hair care than I did at, say, 23. So today I want to share with you 6 science-backed changes that you can make to stop the daily struggle with frizz and just make it easier to grow strong, healthy hair. Let's start with why your hair might be frizzier now than it used to be. Number 1, dryness and frizz. Dr. Louise Newson, who is a GP and perimenopause and menopause specialist, explains on her website that drops in both estrogen and testosterone during perimenopause and menopause leads to drier hair that tends to feel more wiry and more coarse. In addition to this, oil production also declines, meaning that less of it actually reaches the length of our hair. So it has less natural protection than it once did. This all leads to our hair cuticles being more lifted and less uniform, which results in hair that's generally much frizzier than it once was. Learning this explained to me why all those trending frizz fighting products just didn't deliver the results that I expected them to. So instead of buying yet another product, here are some really simple tips that have actually made a big difference. Firstly, if my hair's feeling particularly dry and rough, I will use an oil before I wash my hair. This helps provide an extra layer of protection before you go in with a shampoo. Introducing regular use of deeply nourishing and conditioning masks has had a massive impact. And to really amplify the results, I find using them with a hat steamer even better. Yes, it takes more time, but generally I only do it once every 5 to 6 weeks. That little bit of extra time is well worth it for me. Smoother, softer, less frizzy hair. Yes, please. A really simple thing you can do is don't skip leave-in conditioner. Now I know this might be tricky if you also have fine hair, but there are so many different textures out there now. Just opt for something that's really lightweight. Mists, sprays, stay away from creams and butters. And then the real trick is to seal that hydration into the cuticle, add an oil over the top. That will smooth things down and seal it, and you will hold on to that hydration. Frizz is often caused by dryness, so if that is something you struggle with, I have got a whole dry hair routine that you can adapt depending on the products that you have available and how much time and effort you want to put in. So I'll link that above. One last product that I really do think is an instant transformer when it comes to dryness and frizz is Philip Kingsley's Elasticizer. It's quick and easy to use. You can actually apply it and leave it on overnight, so all of that hydration is working while you sleep, and then just wash your hair first thing in the morning. It always leaves my hair smooth, bouncy and revitalized. Number 2, the pattern shift. Genetics actually determine the shape and size of our hair follicle, but hormones, aging, and actually even some medication can change the shape and the size of our hair follicles. This significant change, I think, is why quite often people find that routines and products that they once loved suddenly stop working for them. It's because they used to work for a different version of your hair. And because you can actually have different shapes and sizes of hair follicles in different areas of your head, you can have some curlier sections and some straighter sections. I definitely know that I have. The good news, in a way, is there's not really much you can do to control this. So I have found the best approach is just understanding what's happening and adapt accordingly. So practically, for me, that means not trying to force my hair into a uniform result. Some areas are going to look wavier, some are going to look straighter, and actually accepting that and working with it makes life a lot simpler, or hair care a lot simpler. Life is still pretty complicated. I've also found that freeing myself from the idea of what wavy hair should look like has also made things a lot simpler. Less products, less manipulation means that I have hair that's softer to the touch, is actually healthier, and my results last longer. Number 3, the cold water rinse. With number 3, I really want to debunk a myth. Okay, so hair is not a living tissue, And it doesn't matter what the water temperature is, it's not going to help seal your hair cuticles. So if you have been suffering through freezing cold showers or a shot of cold water at the end of your shower, please don't feel like you have to continue doing that, unless you enjoy that kind of thing. Each to their own. What will actually help smooth your cuticles is a good conditioner in the shower, and then possibly followed up by a leave-in conditioner and sealing all of that hydration in with an oil. With wavy hair, our cuticle is naturally more lifted, so we can actually absorb moisture, we just struggle to retain it. So honestly, the oil trick of sealing your hair cuticle will completely instantly make your hair smoother and less frizzy. And if you're somebody who really does crave that glass-like shine for your wavy hair, I've actually got a couple of videos coming out soon that you may be interested in. One is about how to achieve that look when you have got wavy hair that's perhaps on the drier side, and then the second one will be a product ranking video. So if you're interested in watching those and you don't already subscribe to my channel, you can hit subscribe and then hit the bell button and you'll get notified when new videos become available. And while you're at it, if you want to hit the thumbs up, I'd be very grateful. Number 4 is the counterintuitive tip. We're talking washing frequency. There is so much advice online telling you to wash your hair less often. However, Glenn Lyons, who is the director at Philip Kingsley, says this. And I would tell you what he says if I could find my phone. The first thing to consider is that for your hair to be in good condition, you need a healthy scalp. He wrote this in an article which is on Dr. Newson's website, so I'll link it below. But he then goes on to say, contrary to popular opinion, frequent shampooing, if possible at least twice a week, is of major importance in helping to attain healthy hair and scalp. And from personal experience, I can say that when I tried to follow this advice and only wash my hair probably every 7 or 8 days, my scalp ended up so itchy and irritated. These days, I wash my hair every 3 to 4 days, and I regularly use either a sulfate formula shampoo or a dedicated clarifying wash. My absolute favourite detox shampoo is the one from Wavy. It is so gentle and incredibly hydrating while also leaving my hair squeaky clean. However, if you would like a more budget-friendly option, I really do rate OGX, the apple cider shine shampoo. And my husband loves that shampoo as well. He's always nicking it in the shower, and he has very oily hair, and he finds that he can actually go a little bit longer between washes before his hair starts to look oily again. He also has an incredible amount of hair on his head. Not that you needed to know that. Should we move on to number 5? Yes, I think we should. Okay. Number 5, a delicate touch. As our hair ages, it just becomes less resilient. It is more fragile than it used to be, so things like chemical, mechanical, and just everyday wear and tear is more damaging than it once was. Another really simple one is I'm just so much more gentle with my hair than I used to be. Less aggressive brushing, less tension hairstyles, more care and thought on a day-to-day basis. And then honestly, even if you don't colour treat or heat style your hair, if you're a woman who's 35 plus, I would definitely recommend the regular use of bond repair, because damage can happen from so many different things, not just bleaching and heat styling. UV exposure, friction, wind, ponytails, detangling, brushing, the list goes on. And bond repair can help address all of those types of damage. Finally, number 6, the internal link. This one is much more about general health, because hormones and nutrients will influence our hair health and growth cycle. So this for me is where I start to think way beyond routines and methods and products. I touched on a couple of things that I do in a recent video, but I didn't go into any detail because I felt like it was a little bit outside of my lane or kind of off topic for me. However, quite a few people said that they would like some more information. So this tip is just going to be about what I choose to do for my general health and supporting me through lots of hormonal changes rather than just hair health. But I definitely think they help. So firstly, let's talk about collagen. I have tried so many different varieties of collagen, and at the moment I have consistently been using now a powder from Nutrition Geeks. And there are a couple of reasons that I've kind of stuck with this one. Firstly, the price point. Some of the ones I've tried, I just cannot afford to purchase on a regular basis. However, the Nutrition Geeks one feels to me like a very good value for money. Secondly, it's really easy to take. So it's a powder, I just dissolve it into my coffee. I have 2 cups of coffee a day, and into each one I just put a spoonful. I think it's really hard to say whether or not it's making a big difference to skin, hair and nails. But I will say that on the odd occasion when I have stopped taking collagen, specifically the Nutrition Geeks one, I think we went away for like 2.5 weeks and then I got out of routine of using it. Where I actually notice it is my joints. I'm tapping my knees. You can't see, but I am tapping my knees. It's my knees mainly. Creaking as I go up and down the stairs. I play a lot of tennis and I love it, but it's a pretty hard sport on the knees. And yeah, when I stop taking collagen, I feel the creaky knees come back. So for me, I can justify continuing to take it because I see an improvement in that area. I do so many other things for my skin, hair and nails that it's really difficult to actually work out what is having an effect. But that's why I need a collagen that is affordable and easy to take. The other thing that I have really shifted my attention to, definitely in my 40s and continue to as I learn more, I recently just read Ultra Processed People by, oh my God, Chris Van Tulleken. Amazing book if you're into nutrition and you like that kind of sort of topic. He delivers the most fascinating and horrifying information in a really non-judgy, open, honest way. Having read that book, it has focused me even more about nutrition. And one of the things that I realised, and I haven't had a test, I would like to have a nutrient deficiency test, but I am trying to focus more on areas where I think I probably am deficient because I don't eat a lot of fish, particularly oily fish. So I have started doing that more recently, and I hope that that natural source of kind of, fatty acids and omegas will potentially maybe also help contribute to some of the dryness that I experience, because I have dryness on my nails, my skin, my hair. So yeah, just trying to eat more fish at the moment. And then I also really do my best to hit a minimum of 120 grams of protein a day, which is actually not as easy as I thought it would be. So sometimes I do rely on a protein powder, which then slightly conflicts the ultra processed side of things. But yeah, sometimes I just need a protein shake to be able to hit that 120 grams. And that again is, yes, to support kind of healthy hair, skin and nails, but more about actually maintaining muscle mass for me. I know how important that is. I've done quite a lot of reading from Dr. Stacey Sims about weight training and protein and how important that is, particularly as you head into perimenopause and menopause. So that is something else that I do. And these, by the way, are just things that I do. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. It's just a little bit more information outside of hair care routines and products. So I thought I would just share what's working for me right now. And if you haven't already seen it, but you would like a little bit more information about why nothing might be working for your hair anymore, you may want to watch this video next. Thanks for watching. Have a lovely day. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.